Hello, everybody, coming to you from the cinema capital of the world, Burbank, California. This is Film versus Film. My name is Quinn Boys. I'm a rejected AMC Rewards member who has seen well over 20 films in my lifetime, and I'm joined by my fellow critic of the arts, Leonard Smith Jr., who wears 3D glasses to every movie he sees just to be safe, and single-handedly, I think you put MoviePass out of business.
And I'll do it again. Quinn and I are friends and improv teammates who work well together comedically, even though we're from different backgrounds. And our tastes and consumption of films also differ. We will share, discuss, and then most importantly, we will battle to see which movie is the true winner and champion.
That's right. Yeah, we're here to discuss and debate basically our favorite childhood films, pitting them against each other cockfight style, just to kind of determine who knows their shit the best. Each week we'll answer a specific prompt with a personal film favorite or not a favorite, but something we think will help us win our debate, find a winner, and we'll keep score all season long to see who's the ultimate film buff. And if that sounds arbitrary, it's because it is, but mostly we're just tired of arguing about things with it not being recorded, so this is kind of a way to hold each other accountable.
You're goddamn right. And we're going to be making it, we're going to break these episodes into seasons. 9 episodes is going to be one season. Next 9 episodes will be a new season. At the end of the season, we will have a champion, and it will be me. It also could be Quinn. Who knows?
It'll be me. I think I know. It'll be me. And once I am the champion, the loser will have to kind of wear it. You don't just know that you're the loser. We're going to come up with something creative, I'm sure, that the loser will have to do to kind of experience and wallow in the misery of being the lesser film person.
I'm already worried about it.
Yeah, I don't want to lose.
I'm already worried about it. I'm not going to lose. But this is Film versus Film.
All right, let's get into it. So how we'll do it is we'll have a prompt. Leonard and I will submit a film from our life that we think applies to that prompt. We'll kind of talk about it, talk about why it was important to us, why maybe it was important significantly pop culturally. Maybe these are movies we've all heard about, maybe less. And then we're going to go through five parameters that we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss pop culture, how the movie affected society at large, ourselves, what have you. We're going to talk about a couple extracurricular things like soundtrack, maybe cameos if we know, something like that.
Statistics, this is basically a sports angle as far as battling each other, so we got to have statistics for sure.
Critics, reviews, box office, stuff like that.
Exactly. And then, overall, which film was the better choice for the prompt?
That's right.
And that prompt was
a comedy that shaped your humor at an impressionable age.
Ooh.
So this is open-ended a little bit, but there's some clear signifiers. It has to be a comedy, and it has to be somewhat when we were coming of age.
And we try to choose films that the other person wasn't necessarily familiar with.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I have a better chance of winning you over if I'm showing you a movie you're not already familiar with.
Yeah, exactly.
So I picked one for you. You picked one for me. A comedy that shaped our humor at an impressionable age. Leonard, what did you give me?
I chose the film Next Friday. Not Friday.
Not Friday.
But Next Friday. It's the second movie in a series of 3 movies. Man, I think it's the best of the 3. Some people like to argue differently. The first Friday really necessarily is not as much of a comedy as it is as the second one is. The first one is more drama, comedy. Next Friday is just straight out laughs all the way through. Great stoner material. Just Mike Epps just came out and just was like, hey, here I am. World, hello. I'm Mike Epps and I'm fucking hilarious. And
do people not know
still
Mike
to this
Epps?
day I enjoy this film. To this day. It's great.
Do people not know much of those lists? Was this like Mike Epps' coming out party? I didn't.
Yeah, Mike Epps. I feel like before Next Friday there was All About the Benjamins, which is also Ice Cube and Mike Epps, but it wasn't as popular, and I think it was Mike Epps' first film, like major film, and he's funny in it. But like the fact that this followed Friday, which was such like a cult classic and such a big hit, it really was his coming out party as far as like a national audience. Because I feel like every black person has seen All About the Benjamins. I don't know if anybody else has.
I have not. I actually haven't seen all of the first Friday, which was interesting. You gave me this movie, and so it's a sequel. It's the second part of a trilogy.
Yes.
And I've seen no parts. So if you were going to tell me to watch Lord of the Rings and you were like, start with the Two Towers, it would be a bad advice. But you felt confident because I let you know I hadn't seen the first one. You were like, that's okay. Next Friday.
So
and I
fun.
feel like I didn't need to have seen Friday. I mean, I feel like it would have helped inform what I knew, but I don't think you need to see it. Is that right?
You do not need to see the first Friday to enjoy next Friday.
They kind of summed it up a little bit, I presume. They summed it up in like the first 5 minutes. They show him like having beaten up Debo. It seemed like footage from the first movie. They introduce his dad. They introduce the characters that you need to know from the first one.
And all this happens in one day, each film. And what was your choice, Quinn?
My pick is another sequel.
Oh.
Very, very big movie for my life. At the time, I was 9 years old. Or no, I was 8 years old when it came into theaters. I think I saw it when it was out on DVD. But I remember the hype around it. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Oh, sequel in a series of 3 movies. The second movie, huh?
That's right. I think they made this movie. Like, the first Austin Powers came out 1997. Mike Myers, he'd been in Wayne's World. He'd been on SNL. Not a huge hit box office wise. The first Austin Powers. I think it was well reviewed, and I think the DVD sales and the VHS sales really helped circulate its popularity.
Okay, we're gonna have to take a look at that later.
Take a look at that when we get to stats. But so this felt like people kind of caught on to Austin Powers late. He gets to make the sequel. It's a lot of the same formula. It's sort of like do it again, but now everyone's watching and make it bigger. And I feel like they did. They did make it bigger. They made it, there's a lot more celebrities in this. The laughs are bigger. They do a lot more bits. They add characters. Mike Myers plays not just 2 characters like the first one. He's 3 different characters. And for a lot of people, I think it was coming to this for the first time. And I watched this movie, I think, 100 times when I was growing up.
Oh, you were also very young to be watching this film.
I was too young probably to have seen it, but I had seen James Bond movies, so I kind of knew the playpen that it was referencing.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Let's start talking about these films and the parameters that we set. And just to let you know, your film is going to lose. All right. First option parameter is influence on pop culture.
So I think, again, we're going to go through these 1 through 5. We're going to talk about them a bit, and then once we've gone through, we'll circle back and tally it up. But I think once we go back, this is a slam dunk. I think, yeah, baby, oh, behave. For good or for ill, I feel like Austin Powers was like imprinted on the American consciousness for like 5 years after this movie came out.
Oh my God. Yeah, for real. Like there's no question about it. And then they already chose things that were catchy, and then it was just like basically cheating.
It's
like the
cheating.
baby back ribs thing, like I will never think of Chili's. I will always think of Fat Bastard.
It's cheating, yeah. It's cheating, but I think you're right. Like, that's apt because I think Mike Myers goes into that movie being like, I'm going to give you 10 catchphrases that are going to earworm their way into your brain.
Yes. The Starbucks, that was hilarious. Like how that they were like basically knew that Starbucks was evil before it was evil.
Yeah, they were on that one. Yeah, I think Mini-Me, Vern Troyer, was a huge, sensation at the time. They created
a career.
He was kind of the breakout star of this movie.
Oh, yes.
I think, just the brand of Mike Myers was a huge pop cultural person again after this movie came out. I just think there was a lot of influence from this movie that
I feel like this movie
it was
is
like memes
pop culture.
Memes.
There were like this basically was a Heineken commercial.
Mm-hmm.
There was like so much product placement in this film, it was crazy. Like, I feel like you couldn't escape this film in 1999.
No, not being able to escape it is appropriate way to describe it, I think. Whereas Next Friday, I feel like has a lot of, I think I'll let you speak to it more than me, but like a lot of what I associate with Friday is from the original, like, Bye Felicia. Like, I feel like a lot of that stuff.
The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Yeah, like, I feel like, and again, that's having not.
Damn.
That's having not even seen the movie. So these are for me, having not seen the first one, these are things that like exist that you don't have to have seen it, and that's, I think, how you know the mark of like a movie leaving an imprint. So this one, I was trying to think of like things specifically from this movie.
I feel like this is gonna be an uphill battle trying to compete with Austin Powers as far as pop culture references and like effect on the culture, because Next Friday just was not nearly as popular as a film. It did not have as wide of an audience. But man, if you go to any barbershop or if you go to any place where there's just some black dudes hanging out and you just like, yo, look at my roof. Look at my roof. Everybody's gonna be like, look at my roof. If you talk about anything like where something's like semi-thug, like, oh my God. Me and my homie, we were just talking about it like 2 days ago. Something like little thing was wrong with his car. And he was like, he has a Mercedes. It's like a nice car. And we both were like, make you not even want to drive it. Like, they're just like little sayings that I feel like literally to this day, you could ask any like black teen who grew up at that time, especially like a black male teen, and they're going to quote it right back to you. So I don't know.
Day Day would have been the most like quotable character from the movie.
Oh, Day Day is by far the most quotable. Like Faux Sache, you can't even spell for something. Like that comes up at least like once every 2 months when I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, I don't know if I guess the one argument about against Austin Powers would be I don't know how much of the staying power is good at this point. Like, I think
yes,
I still enjoy the movie, but I hadn't seen it in years, and I just think in the same way that everyone will say like my wife, like it's the wrong end of pop culture. It's not like Bye Felicia, I feel like is things that people still enjoy using when it's appropriate. But there's no place to use "oh behave" if you're not doing it ironically to be that guy. Okay,
so you know what? I feel like we forgot to make this a parameter, but we talked about it, and we just got to talk about it now. Does your film hold up? Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it. I'm gonna say yes, and then you're gonna tell me something about it that's aged poorly. So, I feel like it would have. I'm sure like the sexual politics are always a bit off. That was sort of the joke about like the 60s James Bond thing. So there's definitely some stuff there. The gross-eyed humor, I never remember being that. Just tell me, does it hold up?
Well, first of all, the gross-eyed humor, good Lord. Why does he have to drink someone's shit? Like, why? Come on, man. It's a bit nutty. Oh, Jesus. But, okay. No, first of all, there's a character named Fat Bastard. It does not hold up.
Yeah,
they clearly are making fun of this man
just
solely for his weight, for his looks. And then, like, at the end, he, like, has, like, a kind of, like, emotional, like
catharsis.
Coming up, like a cathartic, I don't even know what the term is, but, like, he has a very serious moment, and then he just, like, farts after it. Like, they're like, oh, can't get serious for that long. 15 seconds of seriousness, that's all this film deserves.
Yeah, it's definitely you think twice. Fat Bastard you're on the money. I think Fat Bastard just exists to be a joke. And
I mean, I mean, I laughed. It's problematic, but I laughed. But like, could that come out today? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you do Fat Bastard today, or maybe you name him something else.
Yeah, that was just so simple.
Might have just given him
Mini
a name.
Me, which is like if you ever say Mini Me now, you instantly think of Austin Powers.
Yeah, I think that's the other spot. I mean, Mini Me, Vern Troyer is amazing. It's a hilarious part, but there's some stuff when he's like attacking him in the hallway in space at the end, and then he shoots him out into space that you would probably rethink for sure. I think overall it's kind of tries to be a more silly, lighthearted. I don't know if lighthearted's the word, but like a lighter comedy. But there's definitely some stuff where just jokes you probably wouldn't make today.
Also, the script for this movie makes no sense. And what they do own up to it and basically like break the fourth wall. They're like, just don't question it.
Yeah, don't think too much. The first movie. So you've seen the first movie, Leonard, or you haven't?
I feel like I have, but I don't. I literally saw. I haven't seen the third one. I know that for sure. I think I've seen the first two like one time.
Yeah,
and that was like 20 years ago.
This movie, the second movie, is like eating the first. It's eating itself. The first movie, he gets frozen in the 60s. He comes back in the 90s, and it's all about fish out of water. 60s mores and sexual politics do not work in the 90s.
Okay.
And that's the character. He's like a punchline. This one, he goes back into the 60s, but he has the perspective of the 90s, which he learned from the first movie. So now he's in the right time, but he's different. So it's kind of, like you say, it doesn't make sense. I would think like that's a little bit like hard to get your head around if you haven't seen the first one, or if you're not remembering the first one that much. Because he's no longer a fish out of water. He's kind of like, he was out of water, now he's back in water, and he's
still kind of bad, but... But I mean, everybody was pretty much willing, so it wasn't really that bad. Let's go ahead and talk about next Friday. I mean, there are a lot of stereotypes in this film, for sure. Okay, hold on. Now there are stereotypes, but there at least are other like races and ethnicities in this film. There are no black people. Like there was like one black girl during the scene where Heather Graham comes out and like they're like her like dancers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't really I kind of noticed it, but then for some reason I was watching the second one and then the third one started, and like in the first 5 minutes of the third one, there's 100 black people, and I was like, okay.
Well, it was the 70s, and
oh, it's set in the 70s.
I think the first two Austin Powers movies just presumed that black people don't exist until 1970, in which point
civil rights hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That is a thing that as a 9-year-old, I just like would not have noticed, which is wild now to think about. I cannot think of a single black person in the second Austin Powers or the first one. In either Austin Powers movie, which is pretty crazy.
And oh my god, another problematic scene.
Yeah, please.
When he like gets Austin's mojo, and then he's like, "Cool, like what is up with Dr. Evil?" Gets his mojo, and then he pours out a big ass 40 for the homies.
Yep.
Like what was that about?
Yep.
And then him just like doing all the black like culture references to the president, and him not like 90s black culture references, and not understanding it. And it's like, okay. And then there's no black people in this film.
No, it's true.
Now, next Friday, it is problematic. You know, they have an Asian neighbor, but it's not, the stereotypes in it aren't necessarily as bad.
Yeah, the joke is like, I don't think it plays today, but I think it's just because it's not. That was one of the moments where the humor fell flat, because the joke just seemed to be they have an Asian neighbor, but she speaks like, or she's like trying to like dap up with Craig, like so the joke is that she's sort of speaking like she is black, yeah. And I just like that alone, I feel like that's like maybe a premise for a joke, which I'm not, go there if you want, but like doing it by itself just felt like half a joke, and that was the fact that was supposed to be the whole bit. Was like, that's one of the things I would say. It definitely has not aged as well.
And then I guess I just learned that apparently Latinx is not the correct term anymore. But like his Hispanic, Latinx, Mexican neighbors.
Oh my God. Come on. Yeah.
That whole.
It's.
I mean, I guess they like the fact that they're like Hispanic and then they're playing gangsters, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're just Hispanic gangsters. So, I mean, there's always like a bad person in the Friday movies.
It's a pretty broad take on a lot of Mexican stereotypes of that time, which you watch today, and I don't know how it played then, but like it seems like fossilized now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's apparent right away.
And I feel like the reason why I don't take it as bad is because like they're also being very stereotypical about black people as well. I like every person in this film is a stereotype, even like the white people. Like when Michael Rappaport comes in and he's the mailman.
I wrote down and I took a sparing notes because I started just getting into the movie and stopped. But I literally wrote in my notes Michael Rappaport sighting because Michael Rappaport is like, especially like the 90s and 2000s. It's like he's just like often the one white guy in predominantly black movies, and so you just, especially like as a white person, I'm not like looking for Michael Rappaport, but I'm like, I bet he shows up at some point. And he's literally like a UPS or a mailman. He has one scene and he's just racist, and then he gets chased by a dog.
And then he gets chased out by the dog. I think that's like the only white role.
I just feel like Michael Rappaport like didn't even have to audition for this. They would just call him and they'd be like, Michael, we need you for one day. Can you be racist? And he's like, I can find it.
I can do it. Oh wait, there is Roach, but Roach is just,
that's true.
Roach is just like a stoner. So I don't know if that was like a terrible, like, because him and Day Day are both stoners.
There's some bad stoner stereotypes, but I don't think they. He's introduced by Day Day as my white slave. he's working for him at Pinky's. Like, he's just introduced.
Oh, and then Michael Blackson, but that literally is Michael Blackson. That's him. But it was like that. He's like, this motherfucker. Oh, well, that's a very pop culture reference thing too. He's like, I can't get jiggy with this shit.
Yeah, he's like trying to return. We meet him. He's trying to return like clearly a CD that he just found outside to get money back from it at the store where Day Day works. Pinky's, which do you want to talk about Pinky? I know.
You know what? We're gonna talk about Pinky later. Let's go into soundtrack.
All right. Well, soundtrack. If pop culture seems to be a slam dunk, we'll get back to that. But if it seems to be a slam dunk for Austin Powers, I feel like soundtrack you got to give it up to Next Friday.
Yo, I was going to say Next Friday soundtrack has David Bowie, Eminem, Isley Brothers, Wu-Tang, Lil Wayne, Aaliyah, Wyclef, NWA, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. You can do it. Put your back into it. I can do it. Put your back into it. Oh man, yo, this soundtrack is banging.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no contest. I think that's what you get when Ice Cube is your producer and your main star. Is he knows a lot of people who will contribute to his soundtrack. But I mean, that's the advantage. I think that's a pretty easy one.
All right. So right now we're gonna go soundtrack NWA. I mean, I said NWA. Next Friday. All right. I just gotta go ahead and ask this question right now. Was Samuel L. Jackson in either one of these films?
Okay. Yes, this is maybe the most important category. Each movie we watch, we're going to, in our debates about film, we're going to ask if Samuel L. Jackson, who has been in many films, and I would say, how many movies
I would say
do you think
Samuel L.
he's
Jackson's
been in?
probably been in like 25% of films that have been made, and we're talking about films that have been made since 1984 because that's the only important.
I don't know how many movies were made before 1984.
Started to garner any attention that was necessary.
35. How many? Samuel L. Jackson has. I'm looking at his IMDb. How many acting credits do you think Samuel L. Jackson has?
Ooh, I'm gonna say just films, or
I guess they're giving him TV episodes too because IMDb doesn't split it up.
Okay. Ooh. But he doesn't do much television, but I don't...
He doesn't do much.
I'm going to say... Damn. This is tough. His first film was in 1989, I believe, or 1988. Coming to America. One of my favorite films of all time. Probably will end up being on one of these episodes. I'm going to say 147. I know I'm probably low. I know I'm probably under.
It's 189. It's 189. But that's, you're right. He'd done a few things, mostly TV, before Coming to America. But that's like, if you started at Coming to America, that's 32 years in which he's been in 189 things.
That is fucking insane.
The man stays busy. So we feel it's important to acknowledge each time if Samuel L. Jackson was in either of the movies we watched. He was not in Austin Powers. I did not see him in Next Friday.
And then this is just another thing I want to add to it. Where would you see Samuel L. Jackson in your film? I don't know if you see him in Austin Powers because there's no black people.
It's true. I think I have to. He could very easily be in Next Friday.
I'll tell you who I think he could be in Austin Powers.
Give it to me.
I think he could be number 2. I think he'd be a hilarious number 2.
That's the one, yeah. I think so.
There's no question about it.
Rob Lowe does a very funny young number 2
Yeah.
in Spy Who Shagged Me. He's very good. But I think you could liven up that villain's bench that he's always with in the Austin Powers movie if you throw Samuel L. Jackson on.
Yes, or even just adding him to the villain's bench for sure.
Just
No
adding him to
question
the
about
villain's bench. I feel like him
it. And he's
just
bald.
shouting
Black
swear
Dr.
words at
Evil. Instead of like a mini me Dr. Evil, they created a black dog. We couldn't clone him. The best we could do was make him black.
Samuel L. Jackson as Mini-Me would have been different. Yeah, he could have easily been, let's put it this way, he could have easily been any of the villain characters in Spy Who Shagged Me if that was a movie with just even one black person, I think.
Oh yeah, he for sure would have been a better option than Fat Bastard, but Mike Myers had to up the ante and be a third person.
If Mike Myers gave up one of his roles, he could have given it to
Is he
Sam
4
Jackson.
different people in the third one?
Yes, he is.
Oh, man.
Yes, he is.
Is Fat Bastard one of them?
Yes, he is.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. All right. If he's going to be anybody...
Yeah, can
I
tell you who? Can I tell you who I think?
All right, who do you think?
I would like to see him be.
Yes.
It's just maybe squandering his talent. You know, I would have liked to have seen Samuel L. Jackson be Pinky.
That is literally who I was about to say. Can you imagine him like basically being like Jules, like from Pulp Fiction?
Exactly.
With that hair?
So to set the scene for people who haven't seen or don't remember next Friday, Ice Cube is in his cousin's record shop. They are smoking weed in the back of the store, and Ice Cube goes out to the front of the store where he is confronted by Pinky, who owns the store and had been away and is coming back unexpectedly. He sees Ice Cube and he assumes he's being robbed, so he pulls a gun on him.
And good Lord, this scene is probably one of the greatest scenes ever. I don't think
one of the best
Quinn
scenes in the
can
movie.
really say many of the words from the
Nope.
scene because 50% of the words in the scene is nigga. And it is what it is. Clifton Powell does an amazing job. He's
great.
at Pinky.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I don't want to. It's nothing against him, but if we're gonna insert Samuel L. Jackson
it's
into this
gonna
movie,
be Pinky.
he would also have been a good. I could see him as a good Uncle Elroy. Like I feel like he
Yes.
could have done.
Yes. I feel like he would be a great Uncle Elroy. I feel like Bernie Mac, all these people who were casted obviously were the right people for this role. But I feel like because Don Curry is hilarious, but I feel like Bernie Mac also could have been funny. But Samuel L. would have been a great Uncle Elroy.
He's basically just Ice Cube's uncle who just loves having sex because he won $1 million and
he wins $1 million. So what else is there to do?
He's
with
living
life?
in Rancho Cucamonga and he's just having sex all the time. I feel like Samuel L. Jackson could have been good in that.
And I'm not really mad at his decision. I honestly thought that Quinn only liked to fuck because his favorite movie from his adolescence was Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
I learned a lot of incorrect sexual opinions from the Austin Powers.
That's what I was going to ask. It's like, did it help you have more sex or did it hinder your sexual progression and the more sex you could have had?
I was not having sex at the time, so it didn't help me have
in the future,
more sex.
I hope like I'm in your future.
Knowing
Did
Austin
you like,
Powers...
was this your guide? Was he your...
It was. I think it hindered me long term. I'll say there was a moment in. I went away. I went on like a 3-week summer camp trip to California. I'm from New Jersey, but I went to California for 3 weeks with a bunch of kids. As part of some summer outreach thing, and it was quasi educational. But it was basically like a bunch of 11, 12-year-old kids just in California going on hikes, going in the city, learning all this stuff. But mostly there was a lot of sexual tension of just young kids who were out and exploring and away from their parents. And it was,
oh man, I never got to go to to sleepaway camp.
it was like a sleepaway camp, basically like a traveling sleepaway camp. Anyway, that is the first and last time it has ever been cool for me to have known or has been so into Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Because on that trip, I think I must have been saying it to brag, Leonard. I said, I've seen this movie so many times, I can quote it start to finish. And someone was like, we were in a van, we were driving to some hike spot, and someone was like, do it. I was like, I can do it. I've seen it. Like, I had watched it on DVD. So it was one of the first DVDs I ever had. So it was like when you first get a DVD player when you're a kid and you only have 2 DVDs. I was watching Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me, or I was watching The Mummy Returns. And
Brendan Fraser.
I saw that movie so many times that it was like written on my brain. So I sat there, and for like 20 minutes, I'm not talking about like a summation of the scenes. I would just do the dialogue, both parts, anyone in the scene. And I had a full audience. People were laughing. Wow. Like, of everyone in the band, people were laughing. People were like appreciative.
This is like Teen Quinn's greatest moment.
So I didn't get laid, but I think I could have if that night. It was the only time that, I ever felt like this is a real skill. Any other time, if you're trying to get laid, I would not recommend saying that you can quote Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me in its entirety, start to back.
Okay, good to know. All right.
Were you getting laid from the Next Friday movies?
Not at all. Not at all. And I don't think it had anything to do with Next Friday. I was just very self-conscious and just very nervous, and I overthought everything that I did.
Ice Cube is cool in these movies, but he's cool in a way like he's cool in a way that seems like he's just Ice Cube. Like, he never really
it's
emotes.
like it's not like he's never trying too hard.
Yeah. So
he's just like the way, talking about it, like when he like is breaking into the house. Also, like, just the like his moral conscience is just hilarious. He's like, if they're criminals, then it's cool that I just steal from them.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So they only need $3,900. I thought
there's got to be some type of money in that. Like, who keeps money in like a I don't even know what that was, like a pump or like.
Yeah, it looked like a coffee maker. Ice Cube gets to his uncle's house because he's trying to lay low because the guy that he knocked out at the end of Friday is getting out of prison and is trying to get revenge. So Ice Cube's
Not
dad
getting out of prison, broke out of prison.
Broke out of prison. Yes, I'm sorry. He's getting out because he broke out. Ice Cube's dad is played by John Witherspoon, who is
the GOAT,
the funniest guy. Like, I don't know if I'm sure they had a script for him, but like, it doesn't matter what the words are. John Witherspoon is just funny in anything he does. He just makes the best faces.
Like everything. He's just naturally funny.
Yeah. He makes like a dog shit gag. Like, he literally stumbles and falls into dog shit on his front lawn, and he makes it very funny and believable. Like, he commits 100 to the dumbest premises, and it's gold. He's amazing. I saw him a lot on. I watched a lot of the Wayans Bros growing up, and he was as Pops as like. It was very nice to see him in this movie. I didn't know he was in the movie.
And John Witherspoon was like my favorite character by far.
Yeah.
Like on that show.
Yeah.
So it was great.
He's gold in this. He plays Craig's dad. But yeah, the plot is Debo, the guy who Craig knocked out at the end of Friday, breaks out of prison. So Craig's dad drives him to live with his uncle and his cousin Dede in Rancho Cucamonga. And like the same day, because you say these movies it's all over the course of one day. So I guess it has to be. But like, Ice Cube gets there, the mail comes and is delivered by a racist Michael Rappaport. He looks at the mail, and the mail is like, you need to get all the money or else you lose this house tomorrow. So it's like immediately the stakes are ratcheted up.
Instantly. But they always have to be because it's like all set in like literally 12 hours of a day.
And you said this, it's funny that it's like, so I was going to be like, oh my God, they're going to need, because it's a mansion they live in. So it's like, they're going to need to raise like $100,000. But like, Ice Cube is telling Day about this. He's talking to Mike Epps and he goes, it's $3,900, which is a ton of money. I don't have $3,900 if I need it tomorrow.
No black people in 2000 had $3,900 in their savings account.
It just feels like maybe Day could have sold his car. There's something like, it doesn't seem like an insurmountable amount of money, and surely it's not, because the Mexican gang members who live across. Did they ever say why they live next door?
No, they did not. I think
it
was like their mom. They live with their mom.
Their mom's house. But anyway, there's 3 gang members that live 2 houses over from Day, and they have the money. They knocked over an ATM or something, and they have exactly the amount of money that they will need to stop the foreclosure on their home. So that's nice and tidy. And like you were saying, Ice Cube is like, you guys stole it, so I'm just going to steal it, and then it's ours, which I mean, that kind of makes sense. It's still stolen money.
Oh man, I just was looking at some information about next Friday that might help me later on in the episode.
Oh man, it might help me or it might help you.
Might help me in my cause for winning because you're gonna lose, Quinn.
I mean, I feel like. All right, we'll see what it is. I feel like you have to disclose that information. If we were in a court of law, that would be. But
I got a little lost. I apologize.
I
was listening, and then I got a little lost because I was preparing for the stats part.
Well, can I ask you a question now that we're kind of on Friday?
Yeah.
Chris Tucker, the first Friday is it's a two leads, right? It's Ice Cube and it's Chris Tucker, and they yada away why Chris Tucker, and they move the movie to Rancho Cucamonga, which kind of explains why he's not in it, but. Chris Tucker, in real life, Chris Tucker became born again. Is that what you had? Is that your information?
Well, that was one of the things I was about to talk about, but that was not the information.
He was born again, and he's like, I'm not doing these movies anymore. These movies are morally against my religion. But he was still making Rush Hour.
Yeah.
Where he
Rush
kills
Hour,
people.
I mean, I think Rush Hour, he's playing a cop. So it's you playing a cop or you playing a guy addicted to weed and who's selling drugs.
Okay, so he's just addicted to weed in the first one, right? I had a question about that.
Yeah, okay, so he like smokes, which is like another stereotype where like
these are stoner comedies, but
lace his weed when he's like smokes like angel dust with the weed or something, and like that's why he was like, I'm never fucking with them again, man. Like, so he only wants to smoke weed, but he like is
because
obviously
this is very 2000s, and this could probably go into does this movie
get addicted to weed?
Does this movie hold up? But to explain his absence, there's like a narration. Ice Cube narrates like the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, and it's not really needed, but it kind of helps set the tone. And one of the things he says was, "What's his character's name?"
Craig.
No, sorry, Chris Tucker was.
Oh, Smokey.
Smokey. Oh well, all right. But he's like, Smokey is not around because he's in rehab, and I was like, for weed?
For weed?
It's
Half Baked.
It just feels like exactly. It feels.
Boo this man.
Like even in Half Baked, they kind of knew that was a preposterous premise, but they're like, we need to explain why Chris Tucker won't be in this movie, so he's in rehab for weed, and that's the last we hear about him.
Wow. And you know what? I think he made a lot of money with the Rush Hour series.
But Mike Epps isn't like Day-Day. I've seen
Day-Day
some of the first. It's
very different than Smokey, but
right.
It's so much fun.
It's not just them trying to like do the same bit. Like it's a
completely different character.
Yeah,
and he's hilarious.
He is very fun. Yeah, he gets a lot of the best lines.
Like in the first one, Smokey's like the cooler guy.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, Craig is the cooler guy. Like Day-Day thinks he's cool,
right?
But like
Day-Day also has a woman who he dated who was 6 months pregnant when they met and is now 8 months pregnant, but is saying that the baby is his. And there's like a recurring bit where he's just that hasn't aged very well.
Like, you didn't notice,
Baby
he's
D.
Man, she had that fat burger in her hand, and I swore she had the 40 on her breath.
So he's trying to like, because we want to talk stereo. I guess he's like trying to escape the responsibility of paternity for a baby that he knows isn't his, but he's too afraid to confront the mother and just tell her the timeline doesn't make sense.
I probably could have quoted this movie back then, but like,
she
sprayed the player. She sprayed the pimp down.
It's she's got the woman who's chasing him has her younger sister and Big D, and I feel like
Baby
D, that's right. And I feel like that hasn't. She's just trying to basically kick the crap out of him. It's like a funny recurring bit that doesn't really. I don't know if it gets resolved.
It never gets resolved.
He's running away from her when the movie starts, and he's still running away from her. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's pretty bold to make a movie called Friday, have it be a cultural hit, come back with a sequel 5 years later, and not call it Saturday. It's called Next Friday. Which they explain in the movie. He's like, Debo's getting out of prison next Friday. Today is next Friday because he escapes. So
that's
right. It's grounded in the movie, but it is funny that they're just like, you want to do Saturday? It's a lot like Friday. It's like, no. Ice Cube is like, I know exactly. I've got it.
I feel like it's kind of smart because then it's like you got to trademark Friday and Saturday.
That's a
So
good
it's like
point.
you already have.
How many days of the week does Ice Cube make?
You
Just stick with Friday.
can never own the Lord's Day. I'll tell you that much.
And then the next movie after this.
Friday after next.
Friday after next. So it's Friday, next Friday, Friday after next. Will they make a fourth one, do you think? Has he ever talked about it?
They talked about it, and they were like talking about getting Ice Cube, like getting
Chris Tucker?
Chris Tucker involved, like having everybody in it, which would be crazy. Like Chris Tucker, Cat Williams in the the third one.
Is Day Day in
Terry
the third
Crews
one?
is in the third one.
Is Day Day?
So it's Day Day and Craig, and it's right before Christmas. And so
Friday before Christmas. Why didn't they call it the Friday before Christmas?
And they get robbed. Someone comes and breaks into their house, and they take all their presents, all their stuff, and their rent money. And it's like about to be near, like, they have to pay their rent, you know what I'm saying, before the end of the month. So it's like them trying to find out who stole their stuff and then going to work and then throwing a party to try to make rent money.
Okay.
Very simple plots.
I want to see now.
It's like problem.
You drop me in the
solve
middle.
this problem because it's always money. It's like we don't have enough money, literally.
Which I appreciate. This, yeah. It's like I mean, the stakes are, I guess, high in this movie. Like they'd lose. Day Day would lose his home, but like it's grounded. Like these stakes feel like familiar to anybody really, and not like Austin Powers is like totally silly fantasy world,
sense.
Whatever.
I was like, the whole Mojo thing. Literally, you could tell it was different sketches or because it didn't make sense. He like loses his mojo and he instantly feels it. And he's like, I lost my mojo.
I thought when I was a kid, I thought mojo was a real thing. I thought it was like DNA. I thought
it's like pimp juice.
Yeah.
And
it's
then he
super.
can't drive the car. Can't drive the car properly. Then, like, after that, he's, like, dodging, like, bullets and, like, shooting people and, like, is, like, dancing with Heather Graham and, like, flirting with her. But then when it's come time to have sex with her, he's like, I don't have my mojo.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this makes no sense. And then at the end of the movie, Heather Graham was like, you've had your mojo this whole time. You don't really need your mojo. And I was like, well, what was the point of this film? This literally made no sense.
Yeah, the mojo is in them all along. It's very Wizard of Oz in that way, which is a movie I've never seen because it came out before 1984. But it is like you're right. The plot doesn't make sense. But to try to summarize it, just so people know, if you haven't seen the second Austin Powers, Austin is living in the 90s after he'd been frozen from the 60s. He's married to his love interest from the first movie. The second movie starts, his wife turns out to be a fembot, which is a robot assassin, sexy robot.
And apparently the people he works for knew the whole time. Didn't tell him. He finds out on his honeymoon. And so he's single again. But before he can start enjoying single life, Dr. Evil, also played by Mike Myers, goes back into the 60s just to really mess up the timelines. And while Austin is frozen, he, with like a giant drill, steals, he has Fat Bastard, I guess, steal his mojo. From his penis.
From presumably his penis. It's iced over because he's frozen, so we don't see it. But yeah, I would imagine that drill went into the tip of his penis. And it extracted mojo, which is a fluid that does not exist, but I thought did at the time and for many years. This movie definitely actually did. I had sex later than I would have because of this movie. Because if I was going around thinking mojo was real and quoting the entire thing at the drop of a hat, I wasn't having sex as early.
Yes, that's what I kind of figured.
I had sex at 24 for the first time. Is that old? I just made that up.
Okay, I was like, damn.
Your eyes went wide.
I almost told you mine, and I'm glad I didn't.
Okay. We'll reveal at some point. That's one of our conversations.
Oh, yeah, that could be, maybe.
That's the tiebreaker.
Who had sex first? Or last?
So he's trying to get his mojo back, but it turns out at the end he didn't need it the whole time. So the whole fun adventure was kind of unnecessary. If mojo is just confidence,
it was pointless. The entire film was pointless. But
the point was the friends we made along the way.
It was very funny. Now I'll tell you why it wasn't pointless. This motherfucking movie made $312 million
Get out
worldwide. Okay, so
yeah, wow,
that's a lot of ducats.
For a comedy movie, PG-13, but a
In
comedy movie in
1999.
1999 to make 300, that's like Ant-Man or something. I don't know how much Ant-Man made, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a comedy movie. It was a sequel, but again, the first movie, the first movie did not make nearly as much. This was sort of like, okay, this is a big movie series now. The third one made even more money. And this was sort of reinvigorated the phenomenon. I'm looking now. The first movie made $67.7 million in box office, which is decent, I would think, for a Mike Myers comedy. He'd done Wayne's World. He'd been on SNL. He was somewhat recognizable, but not, it didn't make $100 million. It was not a phenomenon. It starts doing well on video. They greenlight the sequel, and it makes more than 5 times that, or about 5 times that, $312 million. That's like a whole different ballgame.
Wait, say that number again one more time?
Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, made $312 million.
Oh, okay.
After the first movie made under 70.
Yeah, and then what did the third one make?
The third one, Austin Powers in Gold, remember? I remember it was even... Oh, no, it was less. $296.7 million.
Yeah, okay, that's what I had a feeling.
Yeah. Third one's the worst one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it.
That has
because
nothing to do with
black people.
I knew you were going to... I walked right into that one. No, Beyonce is in the third movie. She's okay. She is not like Ice Cube. She doesn't straddle film and music as well. I don't mean to poke the Beehive, but
let's just go ahead and keep it real.
It's not great.
Maybe,
it's also
maybe that's how we'll get some notoriety. We'll just have the Beehive come for us.
Not like
come
that.
For us, baby. Let them know we hating.
Stop it. No. No, there is Heather Graham and Mike Myers, it's always ridiculous that any woman in an Austin Powers movie wants to have sex with Austin Powers. That's kind of the joke. But Beyonce in the third one, I think the age difference between her and Mike Myers too, it just feels weird. There's no chemistry.
It was just
between
forced.
them. I think at the end of the movie they kiss, but it's like a dad kissing his daughter. It's
God.
Very innocent because I think either Beyonce didn't want to do it or Jay-Z was on set. No.
All right, so wait, this film was released
1999.
June 11th, summer blockbuster. So its budget was $33 million, and it made $312 million.
Basically 10 times its budget, yeah.
That is crazy. All right, so let's talk about these numbers for next Friday.
Next Friday.
Worldwide it only grossed $59.8 million. And
we'll bump that up. Let's call that 60.
$57 million was domestically. So
I wonder where the $2 million.
It's not showing me the domestic versus worldwide numbers for Austin Powers. I'm sure it's maybe a larger gap than that. Not many further proving my point that this is a pop culture cult classic for certain people and not all people.
I mean, look, you think about how few primarily black cast movies were doing well at that time. I mean, I feel like almost $60 million off $11 million budget. This movie was profitable and clearly for the audience it was trying to reach, it seems like it was successful. I think the problem is, as we've gone over, I mean, the Austin Powerses of the world at that time were being marketed to everybody. This seemed like a smaller movie.
I remember seeing Philips, AOL, Heineken, was Virgin. There was so much product placement in Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me. It was crazy. I think that was really about it. It was there's a Jerry Springer show. Oh, Starbucks.
That's one of the best. The Jerry Springer bit.
Oh, God. Yeah, that opening was...
I've got your hood. I've got your hood. But yeah, I mean, let's say it made... Next Friday made $14.4 million on its opening weekend. It was only released in 1,000 theaters, which is a large number, but a bigger movie like Austin Powers was probably released in closer to 2,000.
And if you really look at it, it is a very large win for Ice Cube. He made a lot of money because his production company was Cube Vision. It was only distributed by New Line Cinema, so it's he probably made at least half of that the profit.
Yeah,
maybe more. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's a sequel. We were talking about, Spy Who Shagged Me came only 2 years after the original Austin Powers. It was kind of right on the heels of people being able to rent it on home video, DVD, VHS, whatever. And then you find out, a sequel's coming. And Next Friday came 5 years after the first Friday.
5 years.
It doesn't
And
have Chris Tucker.
It came out January 11th of 2000. So when the other one came out in April 26th, 1995, the first one, the budget was only $3.5 million, and it made $28 million in the box office. And like I know it made a lot of money off of like VHS and like DVD sales because like I felt like every person had that, and I mean hopefully off of syndication because that shit was on Comedy Central like all the time. The third one, the budget was $10 million and it made $33.5 million.
Friday after next, Friday before Christmas.
Friday before Christmas. And
okay, so
2 years later, he was like, "Shit!" It came out November 22nd, 2002. So they're like, "Yeah, let's get this money while we can."
I mean, November, because I feel like if you think a movie's going to do better, you release it later in the year as opposed to like.
Technically, it's like a Christmas movie.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So
Friday before Christmas.
I never even think about that as Christmas movies. Is like considering that a Christmas movie.
So the third movie in each.
From now on.
Yeah. The third movie in each, Austin Powers, I mean, it made almost as much money, but it was 2 years later. I remember the third Austin Powers had a huge opening weekend, but it ultimately made less money than the movie that came before it. Friday After Next made less money than Next Friday.
Yeah.
So by the third round, we're definitely like over the hill. And people can argue about if the first Austin Powers or the second is better or the first Friday or Next Friday, but those seem like sequels that were more like warmly received by the audience. I think by the third, in both franchise, people are like, we've had our fill. We don't need three.
This isn't Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
This isn't Star Wars.
Right. I would like a Star Wars.
Oh, wait, hold on. Star Wars only has 6 films?
Yes. Well, the first Star Wars, you're right. The first Star Wars film is the
came out in
Phantom
1997.
I do not acknowledge. Unfortunately, you have to make some hard cuts when you arbitrarily choose a year to stop watching movies before, and 1984.
It is what it is.
You don't get to see any of the Star Wars movies, but that's okay because they're basically remaking them now.
Well, I guess we can count the re-releases.
Oh yeah, thank God. I did actually see. I remember watching Empire Strikes Back in a movie theater. So if George Lucas, knowing that film is worthless before 1984, re-released them so we can talk about them in the cultural conversation.
I didn't watch. I watched like the first one I ever saw was like the one with like baby Anakin or whatever. Star
Phantom
Wars
Menace. Well, that is episode 1.
Yeah,
but
started from the jump. Okay, so stats wise, they're both pretty good.
I mean, I think box office. What do we think reviews? I feel like Spy Who Shagged Me was well reviewed at the time.
I know the first Friday wasn't well reviewed. Let me see this. I'm pretty sure the next Friday wasn't well reviewed. But here's the thing. It's like, I don't know who's reviewing next Friday.
Yeah, I don't know how much Rotten... Okay, I've got a Rotten Tomatoes score for you.
Okay.
Let's see. Next Friday has a audience score of 76%.
Okay.
But the, I guess, top critics consensus, the tomato meter, is 22%.
Wow, that's disrespectful.
Pretty rotten. I'm not,
That's hella disrespectful.
Let's see.
White people are tripping.
Gene Seymour at Newsday said, if there were any justice, next Friday would be the last Friday.
Fuck you, Gene, whoever your last name was.
Al Brumley from the Dallas Morning News says, it delivers the same brand of cheap laughs.
That I can't argue with that.
Okay, you agree with that. Most damning, probably, Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly said, it says here, quote, not available. So he's so disgusted that he couldn't even bring himself to blurb it. Okay, turnabout is fair play. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Audience score 71%, so that's lower than Next Friday.
Yes.
Tomato meter is considerably higher, but still rotten, 52%.
Wow.
52%.
Okay.
That's pretty mixed. I always thought of it as the superior sequel. I think I just like Mini-Me more than watching the first one. Maybe also Heather Graham. Let's see some of the quotes.
All right. Well, no quotes. No quotes for the...
No quotes. So it was the movie spoke for itself. 52%. You'll like it or you won't. No quotes needed. See it and choose for yourself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much like critic. I feel like a comedy, it's pretty fine to just view it at this point in the game. So much after both of these movies came out, like they speak for themselves. If people are still watching them, that's kind of tells you how successful a comedy really is, right? I mean, and I feel like Austin
for
Powers
sure know,
kind
like,
of feels
Next
stuck
Friday
in time.
still gets played on like BET and like VH1 to this day.
Yeah,
Like right now.
I feel like Austin Powers burned brighter for sure, in terms of
Yes.
when it came out, you could not avoid it. But similar to Borat, which we referenced as well, like it kind of burned out. I don't know that, I still enjoy it because I have a lot of memories of it. But as you're saying, you watch it and there's definitely stuff that like if you saw it today, you wouldn't have been as impressed with or would have been more of an issue. And also it feels like it was so we were so saturated with it that once we moved past it, we were like, you don't still see a bunch of people dressing as Mike Myers or Austin Powers for Halloween or whatever, but it is still a signifier that you like know it. It like exists in that time.
I agree with you on that. I for sure believe that, Next Friday has more longevity as far as like its meaning and status in pop culture and with people. I personally was just Pinky for Halloween like 4 or 5 years ago, and everyone thought I was Rick James. No one knew I was Pinky.
It feels like Pinky was based on Rick James.
Yes, it kind of does feel like Pinky was based on Rick James. So I feel like Next Friday is more of a cult classic. It has not as wide of an audience. So for those people who though do watch it and have like access to it, they love it like to its core, and they still quote it to the day. So maybe more people should watch it, but it's not necessarily for everyone. So I feel like Austin Powers obviously has a wider audience and anybody can watch it, but as a black person, I love Next Friday, and there aren't as many films to compare to because there aren't as many black films as there are white films, and I'm not saying there should just be more black films, but films with black people in it, and I think it's funny as hell, and I still quote it and love it to this day.
I mean, even Next Friday knew what Austin Powers didn't seem to consider that. Like, even they threw Roach in there, just for white people to see themselves in Roach, the stoner skateboarder dumbass who feeds bologna to a dog. There was at least an effort to be somewhat more inclusive than the Austin Powers movies were.
Now, the first Friday, I think there is a couple Hispanic people in it, and that's it. And the rest are all black people. But they live in the hood, so it's like where the white people at. But yeah, the fact that they added Roach and like Michael Rappaport, even though he was like very racist, they have Miss Ho Kim. That was her name. I don't know if that's the greatest name. But, and that his love interest was a Hispanic lady,
That's true. It was surprisingly tame for the love interest part. Like, so we were talking about the Austin Powers movies are all about sex. And the anatomy, mojo being a real thing. It doesn't matter how true it is, but it's all about sex.
Yeah.
They don't show a lot of sex, but there's a lot of like, kind of like, dry humping and like writhing and sexual innuendo.
With the three brothers, with the girls.
Yeah,
So there is some like kind of misogynistic fucked up shit in that one aspect, but it's very tame as far as like sexuality and.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like Ice Cube has this relationship. He's interested in the sister of the villain character, the gang member's sister, and he bumps into her a few times and he fantasizes about her. But at the end, it like they kiss and then it like cuts away, and then whatever happens, and then it comes back, and then he's just like, "Thank you, my dear." Like, tips his cap and he goes out the window. He's like, and then presumably that's the last they see of each other. It's not. It's much more like into like the gags. It's a stoner comedy. There's a lot of stoner humor. The love interest honestly feels like they were like, well, we should have one.
Yeah,
but it's not like
literally
crucial
put it in
to
there because that's what they're like. That's what the model is.
If you told Ice Cube you were going to do a movie where he lost his mojo, he would punch you in the face. I think that's true. I think Ice Cube is like, this is not about my love life because I don't have any issues with my love life. I'm Ice Cube. All
right, so we've talked about all the aspects of the film. I feel like Next Friday is winning at this point, but there's one thing.
I think it's got to be Austin Powers.
We have to ask. We just have to know would Michael Jordan like our film?
Yeah. I'll let you go first, Leonard. I have my take, but
And this really plays well with our films because, his film came out in '99, right after Jordan had won his last championship. He had just retired from the Chicago Bulls.
A lot of free time to watch movies.
My movie came out January of 2000. As he's really basking in and really enjoying his retirement. Basketball was during a lockout at the time, so there wasn't even really basketball for him to watch or reminisce. I think it was like just about to start. So, he had time. Do I think he watched either one of these movies? I think he may have watched Next Friday, especially for the fact that he was supposed to be in the film.
Get the hell out.
In the part where John Witherspoon, help me please, he has to go use the bathroom when he goes to the gas station. And he gets the key to the bathroom, and it's Stanley, who is from the first Friday. There's only 4 people from the first Friday and the second Friday, and Stanley's one of them. And he delivers the line.
I thought that was a weird scene.
Don't go in there for 30, 45 minutes.
Yep.
That was supposed to be Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
So, okay. So, I thought that was a weird scene because it seemed like when they introduced Stanley that this is a character, if I'd seen the first movie, that I would know. And I'm like, it's weird to bring him back just for a scene where he stunk up a bathroom, unless that was the thing he did in the first movie.
And that's what I read earlier when I was like, holy shit.
This character that stunk up a gas station bathroom and said, don't go in there for 30, 45 minutes to John Witherspoon, who really has to go to the bathroom, would have been played by Michael Jordan, 6-time NBA Finals MVP.
Now, I don't know if that was hopeful or like that's what they originally thought, or if there was any like notion on his end, or if he like got an email or anything. But that solely makes me think that he would have watched this film. I know he would have had a cigar. He would have enjoyed the film. He would have been like, look at these poor black people trying to make a little bit of money. He might have been upset the fact that no one was wearing Jordans or anything, but they couldn't. They couldn't wear anything with any type of insignia. So
that's true. There's not. Yeah, like when
like
you look at the
totally
fashions
looks like a
from
FUBU
the movie
jersey that he's wearing, but
it's like a
jersey.
FUBU knockoff.
It's
when
just like some off-brand jersey.
Fosachi.
Fosachi.
I do not see Michael Jordan, being the bathroom stink up guy. I feel like if he said yes to that, it's because it wasn't explained to him. And then he gets to set, and they're like, "Okay, MJ, you got to just say this bathroom smells terrible."
He's doing that. There's no fucking way.
And Michael Jordan is like, "No, I'm good. I'm gonna just be buying a Snickers at this."
He watched this movie. Michael Jordan is country as fuck. I don't know if you guys watched the documentary, but that motherfucker is from North Carolina. He's country as fuck. Therefore, he would have loved this film.
Okay. All right. I mean, listen, I am going to trust your source that Michael Jordan would have been in the movie. Maybe. I don't know if I
saw it on IMDb.
Okay. That's as legit as we have access to. I don't think Michael Jordan... okay, here's how I'll convince you that he would have seen Spy Who Shagged Me. There is a moment, we've both seen The Last Dance, and we agree that Michael Jordan weighs heavily, so, it's important that if you've seen these movies. There's a scene in one of the last episodes of Last Dance, I think it might be after they win, where MJ is in the locker room, and they're like, hey, Michael, we got Leonardo DiCaprio here to see you. And Michael Jordan... This guy, Leonardo DiCaprio, had been in the Titanic, which, if Michael Jordan saw Titanic, then he saw Spy Who Shagged Me. And I'm saying that because Michael Jordan is a GOAT. He's a pop culture icon.
He's also a married man.
He's a married, meaning what?
I feel like him and his wife probably went and saw Titanic. Do him and his wife go see The Spy Who Shagged Me? Who does he see? Okay,
I don't know if Michael Jordan is going on movie date nights with his wife that often.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All right.
I'm just saying he respects pop culture clout. He lets Leo into the locker room. There's that thing with Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know that he's watching Seinfeld.
I feel like the whole team watched the fucking movie. Like,
Spy Who Shagged Me made so much money.
If you're on a team with a bunch of other men, you're watching The Spy Who Shagged Me.
It made so much money that he was like, Mike Myers is a name. And no name is bigger than me, MJ, while he's chomping on a cigar. And he went and he saw the movie like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear. He's just sitting in the theater with his feet up on the chair in front of him, smoking a cigar that's getting in the light of the projector and laughing and ruining the experience for everyone else. Because he's MJ and he's like, I have to see what this is about.
He probably bought the whole theater.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's seen, and I think game respects game. And I think MJ respects how much money that movie made. And he's like, I got to know what everyone's saying, oh, behave. Everyone's saying groovy baby. I got to see this for myself. I don't know if he's seen the first one. I think he knows what Mini-Me is.
There's no way he saw the first one. I think he saw the second one, though. I have to agree with that.
Okay.
All right, man. We've run out a little time. We're going to have to cut some things down. But I guess we got to decide on here who do we think won this prompt, won this episode.
All right, let's circle back real quick. Just go category by category. We'll try to keep it brief. We got to choose a winner. It's important for this conversation and important to us as competitive people to win. Which is the better movie that shaped our humor at an impressionable age? I feel like everything we've talked about has kind of explained why this has shaped our humor or how it's, whether it's quoting the whole movie or
affected us.
Yeah.
I didn't even smoke weed when I watched this movie, and now I'm like the biggest stoner.
The intros to Next Friday are formed from marijuana smoke, and then as the intros are going past the screen, there are two guys commenting on the action. So it's like the name comes up and it's like directed by, and then someone's like, this guy owes me money. Like they are from the perspective of two guys getting high, watching the movie, critiquing
that's
the
a
movie.
great opening.
It's not quite Mike Myers walking around a hotel naked, but it's
I think I started smoking weed like 3 years later, 2-3 years later.
I wasn't smoking weed certainly when I saw The Spy Who Shagged Me, but it probably would have helped.
All right, so
influence on pop culture.
I mean, Mike Myers, the first one was pop culture. It literally was. It is pop culture. But I feel like you said, it burned really bright and then it tailed off. But the fact that it's such a major film and had such a wide audience, I feel like the Spy Who Shagged Me wins that.
I think if it was Friday versus The Spy Who Shagged Me, it would be closer.
It'd be much closer.
I think you kind of got to give it, because even if you don't know what it is, if someone says groovy baby or oh behave, you're like, that guy's annoying for a pop culture reason that I don't know why.
Yes.
And that means something.
Question, and I feel like if you ask someone who was born in 2000 or 99, if you said one of the pop culture references from from Next Friday or from The Spy Who Shagged Me, I don't think they know either. But if you say something from Friday, I think they might know something from Friday.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
But still, we're going to go with The Spy Who Shagged Me as far as pop culture.
All right, one of the first five, 1-0 for me. Soundtrack number 2, unfortunately, I think we have to just give it right back to Next Friday. I don't think there's really...
I mean, when I actually looked at the soundtrack for Spy Who Shagged Me wasn't necessarily that bad. It had R.E.M., Lenny Kravitz, Madonna.
Yeah, a lot of popular music from the time.
Yeah, I mean, they spent money. This was a whole film that had a lot of money revolving around it. Like $33 million spent on a comedy in 1999 is kind of insane.
Just the two of us, Dr. Evil mix is on the soundtrack.
That hurt it a lot. That hurt it for sure. So we're gonna go soundtrack Next Friday.
Next Friday. That's
was Samuel L. Jackson in it? He was not in either one of these.
He wasn't.
But I feel like he'd be funny in both of these.
I feel like he'd be funny in both of these. And if we're just going by the spirit of the rule of cameos, there was a shit ton of cameos in The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Spy Who Shagged Me, Willie Nelson.
There's a whole extended riff at the end. Oh, those Willie Nelson and Woody Harrelson. They're all in it, just so cutting away, saying different words meaning penis, and it just cuts from one to the next, and it's a bunch of celebrities degrading themselves.
And they did it twice. They came back.
They had more.
And they had more, and it was hilarious. So we're gonna have to give that to Spy Who Shagged Me.
Okay, 2-1. 2 categories left.
Stats.
You have to sweep.
I'm still gonna involve this, and hopefully it'll influence stats. Was how it held up. Next Friday for sure held up. Maybe better, a little bit better than The Spy Who Shagged Me. But statistically wise, we're looking at two different films. Like as far as like
Yeah.
one is like an independent like production company film that is distributed by someone else, and then one is just like a major film company. What is it? Major film studio film.
Yeah, and The Spy Who Shagged Me I found out about because I was in the theater for something else, and they played a trailer for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and that was huge at the time. And there's so much hype. You watch that trailer, especially as like an 8-year-old kid, you're all jacked up. And then the trailer for Spy Who Shagged Me came on afterward. And again, I don't remember the movie that I was seeing. But that's like, so the biggest, most anticipated movie of the year, Phantom Menace. And then right after it is Spy Who Shagged Me. And even in the trailer, they have the voiceover guy. I should try to find it on YouTube. But it's like that voiceover guy that introed every movie. And he's setting up Austin Powers. They're kind of making it look like a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And then at one point, the voiceover is like, if you see one movie this summer, make it Star Wars. And this is the Austin Powers trailer. And then it goes, but if you see 2 movies this summer, make it Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
That's hilarious.
And that's a level of, it's great. I still remember it. I've never seen a movie trailer comment on the trailer that came before it, but it was very self-aware. And I feel like it speaks to the level of like marketing push that comes for that movie that I don't think I saw a trailer for. And granted, next Friday was rated R, so that closes off the audience.
That closes off the audience very
But
much
like,
so.
It wasn't getting hype it wasn't getting the trailer run at the same time. I guaranteed there wasn't as much put into getting people out to see it.
Completely honest with you, I think there is a bias on how that movie got rated R because I guess maybe the drug references.
Swear words too. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
You
say
wait,
fuck.
never mind. There you go.
Say fuck twice.
It's literally just swear words.
Yeah.
Because I feel like The Spy Who Shagged Me is way raunchier and
it gets away with it because it's raunchy in the ways that you can keep a PG-13 rating, which is just like you can't show nudity, but you can show like huge heaving cleavage. You can't say a swear word, but you can have a whole extended riff about words that aren't dick, that mean dick.
Yeah.
And you get away with it.
And so I feel like such a small production company, like one person writing, like directing, starring in a film, I want to give the stats to next Friday, but I don't know. You're gonna have to argue with me on that. I mean, when you make $300 million, it's kind of hard to argue with that.
It's hard to argue with, and I'm pulling for my movie. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Austin Powers gets it here, but I do think, we're looking at critical review. I was surprised that the audience score for next Friday was higher than for Austin Powers. I did not anticipate that because I knew that next Friday had a lower Rotten Tomatoes score. So it's the disparity between the critic review.
And then I feel like that it's a disadvantage because it's like the people who are reviewing these movies is not the audience for next Friday.
Yeah. Owen Gleiberman didn't even submit a quote, which is just, I think that just means they didn't pull it. But I agree. I don't know if.
So I'm going to go ahead and give that to next Friday because the patriarchy and systemic racism, if you guys want to get mad about it, get mad about it.
I'm going to let you have that one.
Finally, number 5. Which movie is funnier?
This is just objective. There is no, it's just LPM, laughs per minute.
Cannot lie.
GPS giggles per second.
I was fucking laughing my ass off at Austin Powers' Spy Who Shagged Me. Like I was cackling. Like
when I told you to watch a movie, I'm like, I haven't seen this movie in a long time. I used to watch it all the time. I don't think I could still quote it. But I was like, I'm curious if you will like it or if you're going to text me and be like, this movie is corny as hell. Like, I can't believe you watched this
I'm
movie
a corny guy. I'm very corny.
Yes, you are. So am I. So I guess I should have been more confident. But what? Yeah, okay, so keep going. Sorry.
I'm just thinking of like certain bits, like the bit. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I like the bit and then I mean, the whole thing was just fucking ridiculous. Like, the fact that it really had no weight to it, like held no weight, just made it just dumb. And I don't know if that's necessarily better But the bits were great. Like you said, the Johnson, the Dick bit, that was hilarious. The bit, Will Ferrell's part is fucking hilarious.
Will Ferrell is so funny in that.
Like
Will
that
Ferrell plays a guy
was
that
a fucking improv scene they probably had, and they were like, "Oh, we're turning this into like that's like some Second City fucking shit." Like, "Oh, that was an improv scene. Let's turn it into a sketch." And then there's like the two the three like
Will Ferrell plays a henchman who there's always gimmicks with James Bond henchmen, and Will Ferrell plays a henchman who, if he's asked the same question 3 times, just has to answer it.
And like the first 2 times he's asked, he's like, "I'll go to my grave before I tell you."
Yes.
You're gonna have to torture me for 27 hours, and then the third time you ask him, he just fucking tells you.
And then they bring back the bit. He's in the first movie as well. They bring back the bit where he gets killed or seems to get killed, but cannot die and keeps making his injury worse by trying to like he breaks his leg by falling down a hill.
I'm going to try to stand.
And he keeps breaking his leg. He breaks his other leg. Will Ferrell is gold in that movie.
God. Now, it's funny, but it like has no weight, and I know there was like dozens of writers on this fucking film. Like there are people punching things up. Probably not. I mean, I feel like a lot was improvised.
Mike Myers can be supposedly the stories are that he's pretty like dictatorial on set, like about like jokes and stuff. Doesn't mean other people aren't writing it. But I could
be wrong about this.
No, you could very well be right. I just think he's like the overseer who has a lot of control. It's written by Mike Myers and Michael McCullers, who is a screenwriter who wrote the second and third Austin Powers with Mike Myers. Also wrote Undercover Brother.
I almost chose Undercover Brother, and like I kind of wish I did because it literally is like the black version of your film.
Right.
Have you ever seen Undercover Brother?
I saw it in theaters, yes. Okay. I think
I
because it's probably said from the writer of Austin Powers.
I think I didn't choose it because you told me you had seen it.
Oh, yeah. I think I've only seen that movie the one time in theaters, but I saw it in theaters.
Then I'm going to use it probably later.
Go for it.
Okay, and then with Ice Cube, and it's like he wrote this film. I don't know. I'm sure there are people there who punched it up and like helped with it, but like
it's pretty bold. It just is written by Ice Cube.
Yeah, that's no other people. Written by Ice Cube. And
I'm just imagining Ice Cube sitting at a typewriter, just hammering out pages, taking sips of like a drink, and sort of just like looking out at the night sky for inspiration.
Like cigar, just like. Okay, I mean, to me, I literally just think about parts of this movie and I start laughing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what your favorite parts of the film were that you
found. The Jerry Springer bit is...
No, I'm talking about from next Friday.
Oh, from next Friday? I mean, the first scene... the everything with, like, Pinky's. Like, just the whole scene... with Pinky's...
the vacuum in the lip?
The vacuum in the lip, but also, like, the scene before where he's trying to hide from his ex. And like, straight through to Ice Cube getting held, a gun pointed at him from Pinky, and then it kind of devolving to them all getting fired. That's a whole great bit. The scene where Pops is like trying to get Pops. I'm from Wayne's Bros, but the scene with John Witherspoon is like trying to get.
I think his name is Pops in the film.
I think he's like credited as like Mr. Jones. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they call him Pops, but Pops is how I was thinking about him. But scene where he's just like trying to get over, like he has such like funny manic energy. So like anything with Pops was cracking me up. And then just like the last scene with like them trying to like Mike Epps basically being too afraid to break into the house, like I thought was like my favorite Mike Epps thing, where he's talking about, I don't know, did that movie create the term bubble gut?
No, bubble guts?
Bubble guts?
Nah, that was the term beforehand.
Okay. Yeah. I knew I've heard that term like many times. I was like, did this movie just coin that? Because that would have been very impressive, and that would have tilted the pop culture argument in its favor. Because you know why I thought that? Because he goes, I got bubble guts, and then Ice Cube's like, what is that? And I'm like, how does he not know what it is? And then he explains it. So I was like, maybe they came up with it in this movie? Like, all right. But yeah, I mean, I think like anything with Mike Epps is great. Fosachi's great. DC is Don Cherry is like
Don Curry.
Don Curry, sorry, is very fun. Like his
don't let me catch you. Like I feel like this one just has a bunch of funny like one-liners. Like there aren't as many funny bits, but like don't let me catch you dipping your fingers in my sugar bowl. Like
no, yeah, it's totally like totally different types of setup. Like Austin Powers is like sketch premise, and this is like
physical comedy.
Yeah, like
jokes.
There's that like kind of extended bit. I mean, it's kind of crass, but again, it's like John Witherspoon. He just like makes me laugh. Everything where he's talking about he's driving Craig to his cousins, and he's like, "You got to get out of the house anyway. It's time for your mother and I to be able to walk around naked as whenever we want." And then he's like,
"My dick swaying on that shag rug."
Yeah, he just goes into this extended bit about what he's gonna do walking around naked in his house, and
John Witherspoon is just gold. Anytime he's on the film on the screen, it's hilarious. And
they're both 90-minute movies, more or less. They're both silly comedies.
I feel like I laughed more during The Spy Who Shagged Me.
I'm gonna take you saying that because I feel like I really want to see Friday because I enjoyed this movie. I do think it works alone. I feel like knowing the characters maybe would have like helped me get like because I feel like I was connecting with like Day Day, who's like a new character, but like Ice Cube. It just feels like maybe like the difference to me is Mike Myers he's playing 3 characters. He's playing too many characters, but like Dr. Evil's like such a funny character.
Yeah.
Austin Powers on the other end of the spectrum is like funny. They have all these bits. They don't all work. They don't all hold up. But I feel like maybe that's just my like sketch comedy interest is like I laugh more at the silliness of Austin Powers. But I did really love like the characters I feel like they're really strong characters in Next Friday, and whatever they do, it's just kind of funny. It's less of like a whole setup.
Like it's at a disadvantage because Austin Powers literally is just a sketch after sketch, bit after bit. So it's like, and there really isn't much structure. There's kind of a like story narrative to it, but it's like there really isn't, and it's just jokes.
You might even say, considering the audience they're trying to reach, the genres they're spoofing, all of those different factors, that it's unfair to compare these two different movies and try to pick which one could be better.
But that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. And you said Austin Powers, so Austin Powers wins.
God damn it. I'm not happy,
Spy Who
guys.
Shagged Me.
I'm not happy.
I think that's 1-0. I picked
Quinn
the better childhood movie.
Started the season. He is now 1-0.
I can quote the whole movie. I feel like I deserve a W for this week.
All right. And now for the rest of the episode, Quinn will be quoting Austin Powers, A Spy Who Shagged Me.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, guys. This episode has obviously run a little long. They won't be this long, but it was our first time doing this. We were very chill. We're a little bit more reserved this time, but we're going to have a lot of fun. Next episode, we're going to just maybe talk about what we're going to do next episode.
Yeah,
what's the prompt's going to be.
What's the prompt? So the prompt for this one, again, was comedy, childhood movie that influenced us. Pretty broad, but we're going to try. Some of them are going to be broad. Some of them will maybe be more distinct.
Some are going to be very specific.
Yeah. So we will come up with the movies between now and then, but we may as well get out of the way. Leonard, what's the prompt for next week?
Well, this is going to be a fun one. The prompt for next week is going to be the movie that was the biggest disappointment to you.
Biggest personal disappointment movie. Okay. I'm going to have to think about this one, but there were definitely movies that I was like so excited for, thought could never be bad, that sucked. So I'm going to have to think on it, but I definitely have some answers. I instantly
think I know what my movie is going to be.
You have it already?
But now I'm thinking of another one. It's Talladega Nights for me. It's probably going to be I'm probably going to end up choosing Talladega Nights.
Dude, that's a good one.
It is the film.
Yeah,
that made me stop watching comedies.
Really? It's just all right. Well,
it was a film and a series of films that made me stop watching comedies.
There's nothing quite like kind of growing up, or even like once you've grown up, being so excited for like a movie or a show or something, and then it just comes out and it fucking sucks, and you're like, I'm like, it hurts my feelings.
Yes. That was me in the Green Lantern. I had always wanted a fucking Green Lantern movie to come out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it came out when I was like 22 or something, and it looked god awful.
You didn't even see Green Lantern, right?
I have not seen it.
Yeah. What people don't know about Leonard, because it's not true of most people, is that the Green Lantern is his favorite superhero, which is very cool. And they made a movie about it finally. and you couldn't even bring yourself to see it. I did see it in theaters, and maybe we'll talk about it sometime later. But it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
So, all right, next week, what was the biggest disappointment movie? Look forward to it. I look forward to, again, picking a better movie that encapsulates the spirit of that prompt than you did.
I don't think he's going to beat me with this one.
I think I've got you. I don't have it yet. And
We're going to be 1-1 after next week.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. This was fun, Leonard. Look forward to talking to you next week.
This was Film versus Film, and we'll see you guys next episode.
We'll see you at the film place.